So let's shift gears to another story, developing story out of this whole coronavirus outbreak. This one is this. These are the kind of stories that just really chap my hide. I have my personal beliefs about how our economy works and just unfettered capitalism in general. And to see stories like this come out, especially now, I mean, because this happens all the time. But to see it happen right now is just like literally the most vile thing that I can think. Well, not the most vile thing, but one of the most vile things that I think our elected officials, our leaders in Congress could do to us, the American people. Because what these people are going to do, or what I'm going to show you in this next clip that these people have done, is they've thought about themselves first and they thought about you probably like fifth, to be honest. But they came first. And who knows what was in between you and them? Maybe their kids, maybe their Maserati outside, or their third home, or whatever it is. Who knows? So go ahead and play the clip about Tucker Carlson, the resign clip.
So you may have seen the news reports this afternoon. The chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee sold more than $1 million in stock in mid-February after learning how devastating the Chinese coronavirus could be. He had inside information about what could happen to our country, which is now happening, but he didn't warn the public. He didn't give a primetime address. He didn't go on television to sound the alarm. He didn't even disavow an op-ed he'd written just 10 days before claiming America was, quote, better prepared than ever for coronavirus. He didn't do any of those things. Instead, what did he do? He dumped his shares in hotel stocks so he wouldn't lose money. And then he stayed silent. Now, maybe there's an honest explanation for what he did. If there is, he should share it with the rest of us immediately. Otherwise, he must resign from the Senate and face prosecution for insider trading. There is no greater moral crime than betraying your country in a time of crisis. And that appears to be what happened. We'll have more on the story tomorrow.
Yeah. So there was definitely more on that story the next day. So let's go ahead and play the next clip of it should be the Fox 5. And again, I didn't mean for this to be a whole like Fox News kind of thing. It's just how this worked out for this week. Yeah. So, and I will say though, before you cue up that clip, like Tucker Carlson, I don't know if you know about him or whatnot, for whatever you think about him. I have a hard time with this dude because he says things that I'm just like, what are you talking about? And then other times he says things like, I'm like, whoa, are you like a normal person? So, I would actually recommend that you watch him from time to time because he has these moments of clarity that we need from all sides. Right? The problem right now, again, we're also split up. We have our left and our right. There's no in between or whatever. Well, the in between is the things that we can agree on. And so I hope that we can all agree that senators using insider information to dump their stocks before the economy tanks because they know impending doom is coming. I hope that we all can agree on that and that's the middle ground that we latch on to now and we don't let go of after this whole coronavirus thing goes away. Let's play the Fox 5 blasting.
Welcome back. It's a congressional stock scandal. 4 U.S. senators now under fire for selling off millions of dollars worth of stocks in the days before the coronavirus crashed the American economy. Democrat Dianne Feinstein and Republicans Richard Burr, Kelly Loeffler, and James Inhofe all dumped assets following a reportedly classified all-senators briefing at the end of January. Now, all 4 of the senators are denying any wrongdoing, and Senator Burr is calling for an ethics review of his own actions. Senator Loeffler was grilled this morning by Fox's Ed Henry on America's Newsroom.
You thought the government was prepared, yet shortly after that tweet that I just noted, you sold over $1 million in stocks in your own personal portfolio before the market went down. Were you trading on inside information about what was coming?
Well, I'm really glad you asked, Ed, because I do want to set the record straight. I've seen some of those stories, and it's absolutely false, and it could not be true. So if you actually look at the personal transaction reports that were filed, it notices at the bottom that I'm only informed of my transactions after they occur, several weeks.
Pause it. Okay, so she said she got a briefing about coronavirus, then these stocks were dumped, and now she's being asked about it. She says at the bottom of my personal filing, the filing that she turned over, that's the individual, like the buying on her behalf. First of all, she said there's no way There's no way that could have happened. What do you mean there's no way? You were told about the information and then the stocks got sold. The stocks got sold. Of course, there's a way that you could have told the people handling your account. And you'll hear too, I think they'll say it later on in this as well, that the response that they're getting from some of these elected officials is, well, it's part of a fund. Other people manage it for me. They were the ones making the moves. Well, you know what? That's fine. Maybe you should have called them and said, hey, right? Don't make these trades. I think you would be better served. And that may be illegal too, to be honest with you. I don't know the law on that, but I don't think there's a court in this country that would prosecute you for not making a trade because you knew the market was going to go down, right? Like, because you said, I don't do anything, meaning don't do anything because it will look bad if I sell them. Don't buy anything. Don't sell anything. Just leave it alone because it's not right for you to make a trade after I've had this briefing. That's a conflict of interest. Those are ethics violations, right? So it could have happened. They could have, I mean, play the clip.
So, I mean, it's hard to make sense of all of this. So let me just start by asking you, Jesse, is this serious? In the Loeffler case, it's also an issue that not only did she sell stuff, but then she bought stuff. And one of the items she bought was to help people who have to work at home, software. What do you think?
It looks
There you go. So they bought and sold, right? So they sold the shit that was gonna crash, and then she bought the shit that was gonna be used to help fix all the problems. So you tell me. You're smart, right? You have a brain. You tell me.
really bad. All four of them have different levels of sketchiness. I'll start with the least sketchy. Inhofe says he was never even at the briefing on the virus and said he's been moving money from stocks to mutual funds for the last 2 years. He sold the least amount of stock. Feinstein says, you know what? It was a blind trust. It was my husband's doing. I wasn't even at the briefing on the virus either. And it was just one company, but it was $6 million in a biotech company. We don't really know much else about that. Now, Loeffler, her husband's the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Yeah. She sold these stocks on the day of the briefing, right after it happened. And like you said, not only did she sell a lot of stocks, she bought a stock which benefits from a software that helps teleworking, people that work from home. It doesn't look very good. Perfectly timed. Also perfectly timed, Richard Burr liquidated almost his entire portfolio. And he has all the intel because he's the top intel guy in the Senate. And he was telling people privately that this pandemic was going to be as bad as the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Also perfectly timed right before the market dropped. And he said, oh, well, I traded it because I saw some news on CNBC. I think everybody needs to be investigated and treated fairly, but a really bad look.
Emily, Senator Burr says simply, you know what, it wasn't my actions, even if you were to try to put them together. The fact is, he says he had no special intelligence, although he's the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. He says everything that...
Chairman of the Intelligence Committee, no special intelligence. I mean, that's definition of an oxymoron.
He did was based on public reports. What do you think?
Right. He said, I only listened to CNBC covering the Asia markets. Look, in my opinion, to kind of go off of Jesse's ranking of the outlaws, the top two are the worst. And Senator Burr's is the worst by far. It's worse than Loeffler. And here's why. Because his reported net worth 2 years ago was $1.7 million. And as you just said, he sold off between $600,000 and $1.7 million. So nearly all of his reported net worth. And of course, the disparity between his public and his private comments and his vote in 2012 against a rule in Congress banning insider trading. Yeah. It obviously raises a lot of questions. And Loeffler, by the way, her reported net worth is $500 million. And the most she reportedly sold off was $3.1 million. So that's less than 1%. She has the same defense that Feinstein does, which is, I didn't know about it. I learned about it weeks after. You know, Feinstein says it's in a blind trust. Other people do it for me. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So again, just all BS. All BS. All right. Well, again, you decide for yourself. Did these people use their office, use the powers of their office to benefit themselves, meaning they were part of briefings that the general public is not a part of. They're privy to information that you and I are not privy to, and then they acted on it. So